sit up. No. Right, you come up here. Come on up here. How do you do, sir? What's your name?
My name's Bud Perchinsky.
Bud? Ladies and gentlemen, this is Bud Perchinsky.
Correct.
Where are you from, Bud?
Williamsport, Pennsylvania.
Williamsport, Pennsylvania. And when the LL Bean catalog comes to Bud's house, Bud says, well, hell, I'll take one everything. Look at that. Isn't that a lovely ensemble for late summer, ladies and gentlemen? There you go, Bud. What do you do for a living?
Sell real estate.
All right. You know anything about running a high-powered camera?
I can learn.
This is Joe DeBonis right here. Joe is, by the way, it doesn't get any better than this man right here. He is problem. Get over yourself, okay? Oh, that's Bud Perchinsky operating. Attaboy, Bud, you all plugged in, dialed up, ready to go? It's heavy, isn't it? Yeah, you have new respect for the cameraman now. Excellent shot of the floor, Bud. Nice going, pal. From the home office, Bud Perchinsky from Pennsylvania is operating one of our cameras tonight, doing a damn fine job. Bud, come on in here. Let's run a little training drill. Get a nice tight shot of your name card here, Bud. Here we go. I'll put it right there. Anton, how about a little drum roll for Bud? There we go. Come on in. Get right in there. Watch. Come on. Watch the furniture. Look out.
All right, watch it.
That's the first rule of operating a camera. Watch the furniture. Hop right up here on the riser. There you go. Get a nice tight shot of there. Come on. Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, there's Bud. Get in there tight. Come on, get it. Yes! Attaboy, Bud. Nice going.
Adler. I've been best friends with Bud 40-some, almost 50 years. I fell in love with him the first day I met him, and we were friends forever. And we had a band of crazies that liked to go out drinking and have fun and just be wild and love each other. And then Jackie came on the scene and just instantly fell in love. And the two of them with their dry humor, oh Lordy, they had us in stitches constantly. Nothing like that dry humor. Day. When you lose someone that you just adore and has been your friend for so many years, I mean, how do you start to explain how your friendship was or what it meant to you? All I can say is it meant the world. Everybody just be so happy you knew Bud. Be so happy that you were part of his life because he was worth having in your life.
I remember Bud as a guy who was always where the fun was. He enjoyed having a good time, and I have a lot of memories which were entertaining and hilarious. But even if there was nothing notable happening, he always seemed to make it better. There was a time when he was overserved at Franco's, and we forcibly offered him a ride home. He politely turned us down as he pushed his way back out of the car. At one point, someone observed a police officer nearby. When we looked over and turned back around, Bud was about 3 blocks away, walking home with as straight of a posture as possible. Another time at Franco's, I was with a group of friends who were vocal and boisterous in discussing women. After a while, I noticed that Bud was seated in the next booth. I invited him to come over to sit with us, and he again politely turned us down and asked whose basement did we think we were sitting in.
I've always enjoyed hanging out with Bud. He was always so much fun to be around. He was always very positive and had a great sense of humor. My favorite memories of Bud are from our spring trips to Washington, D.C. for the epilepsy walk. We always had such a great time on those weekends.
I will always cherish memories of Bud texting me trivia questions about presidents on Saturday mornings. We did this for about a year, and I will always treasure these memories.
Getting to know Bud these last, 20 years was such a pleasure. Whether it was just hanging out, having a few drinks, and laughing at Sarah and Cowie's, or golfing badly at the Hayden's Heart tournament. It's just rare that you come across people that are just so optimistic and so positive, funny and fun to be around. Lucky to have known them.
Dear Bud, growing up and having the Perchinskys and your home on Union Avenue in my life made me a better person. The memories there are countless. I think it's safe to say those who know you feel the same. Thank you for always finding the perfect balance between being Sarah's dad and being a friend to us go-girls. As we grew into adulthood and married our husbands and started our own families, you graciously befriended them as well. You could always hang with the best of us. I will forever remember you with a smile. Our conversations were always genuine. I will continue to admire the way you love your family. You were definitely one of the good ones and will be so greatly missed. Thank you for being a special person and friend. We miss you and will help your family by telling stories of you and living and loving the way you lived yours.
No one has ever been more suited to his nickname than you, Bud. Yes, you are Sarah and Molly's dad, but you have also been one of our closest friends. You were someone we could always count on to put a smile on our faces. You also had a way of always making us feel loved, whether it was making us laugh, welcoming us into your home at all hours of the day or night, showing up to all of our events, or just listening. As a guest at your home, we always felt more like family than friends. One thing we will really miss about you is that warm, welcoming energy you brought with you everywhere you went. Every event was better if you were there, and if you were there, we knew you were staying until the party was over. We will always remember and admire the kind of family man and friend you were. Thank you for being in our lives, Bud. We will miss you dearly. We love you.
So growing up, Bud really helped define a lot of my memories and my idea of what it meant to be with the entire Mansway clan. So to me, the Perchinskys' house was the coolest place I had ever been. There was never a bedtime. You got to swim in the pool. You got to learn cool dances and watch movies with your incredibly cool older cousins. It just seemed like the place to be. And that was really because of the environment that Jackie and Bud helped cultivate in their home. I used to call this man Uncle Stinky for years, and he still welcomed me with open arms. So that should tell you all you need to know about what type of vibe they were putting out. And as an adult, it became very, very clear to me that even though this predated my birth, I knew that when Bud married Jackie, he helped change our family for the better. I've seen him welcome new family members with open arms. He's undoubtedly my boyfriend's favorite member of the family, and they shared a really special bond that I'm so grateful to have experienced. One of my favorite things to do at any family party was to share a drink with Bud in the corner while we watched everybody sing, dance, and have a good time. You could see on his face how proud he was of all of us, that we had managed to create something that was lasting, despite all the challenges that families have, that we were able to share these moments together. He was so many things to so many people, but overall, I think he's truly the definition of what it means to be a good friend. I feel really grateful to have known him and to be able to learn from him. When I try to be that myself, when I try to be a good friend, a good family member, a good partner, or good person, I'm going to be trying to be like him.
I feel truly lucky that I'm one of Bud's nieces. I love any time we are all able to get together, and getting to go on our Mansway family vacations are some of my favorite memories of Bud. Uncle Bud was game for anything and was always ready to hang late into the night with the younger generation. On our most recent trip to Pigeon Forge, Uncle Bud's karaoke performance was a real highlight. While our trips only happen every couple of years, seeing Uncle Bud happened a lot more than just that. I'm going to miss standing around Sarah's kitchen island and just chatting with Uncle Bud, and when we sing, "Oh, the Lord is good to me." I love you, Uncle Bud.
I have very fond memories of Bud and Jackie throughout the years, many years, coming into Franco's on Saturday nights especially. They were the usual suspects at the end of the bar. And one thing that always struck me about Bud is just how funny and happy he was all the time, and just loved life. And I just remember hearing laughter from the end of the bar, and you didn't even have to know what he was laughing about, but his laugh made you laugh. and I loved it.
Hey, I got something to say about Bud. We were on the Short Kill Express going to a concert in his little yellow Pacer, and we were about 20 years old, and all of a sudden we were in a 6-car pileup, and all Bud could do was laugh about it, and it was a good time, and he was a good man, and we miss him.
Yes.
We love you, Bud. You're always here in our heart, my friend. We love you, Jackie, and the Perchinsky family. It's an honor to serve you guys.
Yes.
And it's a big loss. Bud is one of those people, one of those forces in a person's life that is just solid, can be counted on, and like, you know he's going to be there, and you know he's going to be helpful, you know he's going to love you, and for that to be gone is just a tragic thing. So you know, that's very, very difficult to accept as reality. You know, the only thing I can hope to do is just honor his legacy. You know, a 6-year-old girl, she just turned 6 this week, a little over a week ago, and if she becomes like half of the person that either Sarah or Molly has become, then, you know, I think I would have been able to have done that. But it was amazing. This is a loss.
Bud always welcomed me with a big hug, and that continued from the trials of raising teenage girls and all the troubles and loudness we brought into my adult life. And one of my favorite pieces of coming home and going to visit the Perchinskys was always Bud's big smile and big hug, and just welcoming again, and just feeling like a piece of home was in that house. Making up dances on Christmas night, and we were all in, and so was he, watching us perform. Poor guy, through it all. He just really wanted to take a nap in his recliner in the green room. Hands behind his head, feet up. Life was good amidst the craziness. You know, family vacations and swimming in the back when his nephews and niece would come over, and shark torpedo and jump in on top of us, and just all that he dealt with us growing up and just helping to raise me. He helped raise me into who I am, and I'm so grateful to have been a part of that piece and have him be a part of that piece of my life. And you know, like I said, it wasn't just the teenage ugly years that he experienced. He loved us so much, loved me so much through all of that became a piece of my adult life. Him and Jackie read a poem on my wedding day, and we're at the hospital the day that our son Hayden passed away. And just, you know, those pieces of my life that I look back on, the biggest pieces he was always a part of, and him and Jackie were always there. And, you know, my heart hurts alongside everyone else that's pained to know that he will not be a physical piece of the rest of our lives. And I grieve for myself, but I grieve so deeply for his girls and for Jackie, and just the void that is left behind because Bud is no longer physically present. And
Walter, my God, you were a saint. All the endless sleepovers with screaming teenagers, the road trips with loud and obnoxious music blaring on repeat, the endless girl talk and drama, and you just always seemed to roll with the punches. You never yelled, although I'm sure we gave you lots of reasons to want to. You just let us be us and did what you could to help us be our best selves. What I wouldn't give to hear you say, "Hello, dear," and give me a great big hug. You had a smile that could light up a room, and a laugh that was infectious. There are more stories than I could tell in this video, and I'd probably struggle to get through it anyway. So instead, I'll just say thank you. Thank you for welcoming me into your family. No questions asked, whether Molly and I gave you a choice or not. Thank you for loving me like I was one of your daughters. And most importantly, thank you for giving me the joke about Molly's college degree in Etch-a-Sketch. It will forever be my favorite. How lucky was I to have known you? How lucky we all were. You are so missed. I love you, Walter.
always felt like a part of their family. I loved his laugh. Nobody has a laugh like his. He could light up a room. One of the most special moments of my life was when I was engaged to Jacob, and it happened on Christmas. And I remember the Perchinskis just inviting us down to celebrate, and him toasting to Jacob and I in the kitchen. And we were so young, but he didn't go into lecture on how young we were, and he just talked about marriage and it being a commitment, a lifelong commitment, a friendship. And he toasted to us and just showed us so much love. Mr. P, you will be missed. And thank you for always accepting me and showing me love and letting me be a part of your family. 145 Union Avenue will always be a huge part of my life. I love and miss you.
I mean, we all know Bud was a special guy. He was gracious, he was kind, he was giving. But I think one of the things I recognized in Bud, more importantly in anything, was his sense of humor. Bud and Jackie were throwing a party, and it was a great party, as all parties we had were. And the next following morning after the party, Bud got a visit from Mary Ellen Lupton, who was one of his neighbors, and apparently the guests had parked and intruded on Mary Ellen's street, either blocking access to her parking spot or whatever. I don't really know. But in any event, she came over and she politely referred to Bud as Walter. I don't know, maybe she had him in grade school. Certainly a possibility, but I don't know that. In any event, she said, Walter, I have to address a little issue that a lot of your friends parked on my street and blocked access to my house, and I would ask that in the future when you have a party, you would ask your friends not to park in front of my house. Bud, as only Bud could do, coming out of nowhere from a neighbor like that, he said, Mary Ellen, I really have to tell you, I have the kind of friends that if I were to ask them not to park in front of your house, they would find abandoned vehicles and tow them to your property. I'm not exactly certain what her response was, but it was sort of the end of that issue or that problem. It just spoke of how witty and how bright and quick Bud was.
So encouraging and so excited for the new things that someone else was doing, and whether it was us or our kids or our friends, he just exuded that positive nature, and it really was supportive and made you think that you're on the right path in terms of what you were thinking about or doing or not doing or whatever it was. He was a real supporter of you, of us, and doing what we felt was the right thing to do, whether it had to do with a job or a family or a home. He moved us here to Wilmington back in 1988, and was just always someone you could rely on to help you do what you needed to do, but also have a real positive attitude about it. And one of the things I really loved watching was Bud as a grandfather, because I know that was a huge part of his life, being a dad and being a grandfather. And I certainly looked up to him as a dad and use him as a role model for myself. And I just really always appreciated what he presented that way, and watching him get joy out of Aiden and Michael and Oliver and Eloise was really just a pure joy to watch, and to watch as he got to just love them as much as he could. So those are my thoughts about Bud.
I guess I just wanted to share that our summer vacations have always been highlight of my year, my life, everything. And because of that, that's why I wanted to move to Lyco, why I chose to go there so that I could live with you guys, be close to you. I wanted to experience our summer vacations year round. And I just want to thank you guys for everything you did for me, for everything Bud and I did. He always let in his car. We'd stay up at night and watch TV. To the incredible Mr. Limpet. Just all these things that I feel so fortunate that I got to experience, even though I live so far away. I mean, obviously we have the crazy memories, like him taking Paige and I out for ice cream and donuts for breakfast and all of that, but I just cherish all the mellow times too, just us sitting next to each other on the couch, and he'd eventually fall asleep, so I'd go up to bed, and just all of those memories.
I can only think of qualities, and I can think of the way Bud made me feel. And he always made me feel welcome. He always picked us up from the airport, and it was like I had just seen him the day before. It was that kind of a comfort. I was never, he made me feel happy. I never felt judged. I mean, it was just, he was that guy. And I really felt unconditionally loved by him.
Get you. Get you. Get you, get you, get you, get you, get you, get you, get you. You do it. Voice was rusty. Did you know it?
They know it.
Just play it?
Yeah.
They know it. They got it. They got it.
Bud picked me up from college once, well, probably more than once, but the first time he picked me up my freshman year at Dickinson, a few weeks into it, I was homesick. Bud agreed, and that's a 2-hour drive, right? He agreed to come down and get me on a Friday afternoon after classes, assuming I went to class. And I brought a friend home with me. We stopped just outside of Carlisle. There was a drive-through beer distributor. We pulled in. We got a case of beer for the trip home. I remember many stops along the way where we had to get out of the car and relieve ourselves so we could drink more beer on the way home. And I remember my freshman friend that I brought home with me just thought I had the coolest brother-in-law in the history of America. Get us a case of beer, and we got to drink it on the way home. So it was a cool experience.
How much Bud was willing to be of service and was all in. He took care of everyone, including me. I mean, it's hard to believe 3.5 hours away. He was the first call I would make if I had like a handyman crisis or a critter crisis. Everything. He moved me to Baltimore in 95-degree heat to an air-conditioned apartment. Never complained. He would drive 2 hours and meet me halfway with the girls when they were small in Harrisburg, so I could have them for the weekend. Whatever needed to be done. And most important to me, he always made me so comfortable, which everybody has said on Facebook. He just had a way of being unassuming and non-judgmental.
He's such a good husband. I remember him taking care of his mom and visiting her every single day, every day. And when he married Jackie, he married our family. And like as others have said, he was 100% all in. Didn't matter. He was all in with every single bit of craziness, whether it's going down to Camp Hill to help Susie with something, whether it's helping with mom, whether it was helping with dad when he was alive. He was all in for everything.
We did not have the closeness, geographically, physically closeness that most of you got to have over the last 44 years. But we love Bud. And it struck me when Bud passed away, I read, hundreds and hundreds of Facebook posts and messages, and they have the same recurring theme of what the great sense of humor, the loving, caring, loyal, those words, those qualities that Tammy talked about, that's Bud.
And the common thing that sticks out to me is service. And from the time Bud came and spent the night with me in the hospital when I was staying with Dad, he came down the hall and saved the day, to helping Susie, helping Fran, going to see his mother every single day. Anyway, service is, I think he won the prize when he married Jackie. I really do. I think he felt that way, and I think it related to everything he did.
As Uncle Bud was in my earlier life, not my adult life, since I've been in California, but I was just sharing with Mom the other day how I remember, probably wasn't when I was babysitting Sarah and Molly, but more when I would just have sleepovers with Sarah and Molly. And in the mornings, crawling into Bud and Jackie's bed. Like, that was just what I watched on TVs. You know, I didn't have that with my mom and dad, but I got to experience that and be part of their unit. And just like everybody's saying, like, you just felt so welcome in the Perchinsky household. So thank you for that. Thank you for creating memories.
Growing up, I've always said I don't like being the oldest, or I've struggled with that. And my mom and I she turned to me the other day and she said, how lucky are you to be the oldest that you got to know Uncle Bud? Because I think discussing with a lot of my siblings, they don't have a lot of prominent memories with Uncle Bud, and I'm just so grateful to be the oldest, because I do have memories with Uncle Bud, and he was such a prominent figure in my childhood, so I'm just so grateful for that. I do have to say, first and foremost, I think growing up with any family vacation that I went on with you all, Bud, he reigned so prominent in my childhood brain. It's so funny. I was always so eager to see Bud at family vacations. He always made me feel like I wasn't so young. I know I've said this, but he just had this ability to make me feel like I was his friend. And that is just so unique, and I'm once again so grateful for that.
I just appreciate how the fact that he could touch every single person in the small, like, nuanced ways, where I think Paige said it best, is you felt like a friend of his. I can always remember, like, picturing him like in the recliner, just relaxing and hanging out. But he was always super happy, and I loved being around him because he brought so much positivity, and all the good laughter and fun. And I do remember him always being down for anything. Like, I don't ever remember a time him saying no. He was just always in, and that was really, really cool for me to see.
And I remember driving out there to Williamsport for the first time and getting to see him and visit him. And because of my experience growing up and my parents divorcing, my dad really wasn't that involved in my life. So I always, at a young age, became pretty hypervigilant of observing male role models. And, as a kid, I'd always look to those different male role models to kind of pick and choose and pick things. And I remember when I went to Williamsport for the first time, Bud was an individual where I could spot a mile away, he's a good one. And so even when I was a kid, that continued on for me to be hypervigilant in observing Bud. And I watched him, guide his girls through their adolescence. And I know both Molly and Sarah are very strong-willed, powerful women. And watching him do that, I think I could have served to have a few more lessons from him in that department. how he was as a husband to you, Jackie, is a true testament to a man. And you were always his best friend. That was no doubt. And you guys were a team. Anything that you did, you guys were a team. And I always appreciated watching that, trying to mimic it as best I can. And I know Bud had his faults like we all do. But, his heart is damn close to being perfect. I mean, that's for damn sure.
I mean, I know with Cade when he was a little tyken in Catalina with the policeman outfit, or I know Bud got such a joy pushing that frame with Cade screaming his lungs out over and over and over. He loved listening to Cade screaming his lungs out.
He loved me walking around holding him and just laugh at me while Cade's screaming.
There's no doubt with the grandkids that there wasn't a second he didn't love with them. His laugh, obviously, his love, and he just is the epitome of the saying that it might not be that you remember what they said or what they did, but you always, always, always remember how he made you feel.
Feeling, everybody kind of talked about that feeling. He gave me that welcome feeling. And the memory that sticks out to me on the side, similar to David or Todd or Tahad.
Pat. Kristen, Callie.
Yeah, everybody that had to come into the family later, Bud was like the ambassador. And he was that for me. He absolutely was that for me. And I remember him pulling me aside and said, hey, if you ever need a break, if you ever need to know anything, I'm here. And I honestly just felt calm with that.
There's no one memory that I look back to with Bud, but just the couple of last years of vacations and the cops being called, as was mentioned, on Aunt Felon and Uncle Cupcake in the Poconos, and cooking outside in Tennessee with Uncle Bud over that grill, from Uncle Bud getting my kid drunk for the first time.
So he once said to one of his best friends, Teddy, who you know well, yes. Everyone needs an Uncle Bud. And I think that's perfect. Everyone does need an Uncle Bud.
I'll never forget, as I was throwing up over the boat, he reiterated that we're not going back to shore yet. We're catching fish. In a fun, loving way. I had so many great experiences with him, but the experiences that I'm going to remember and that are going to stick in my heart are the random ones. 3 weeks ago, when I went over to the house and Oliver was helping pop up leaf blow.
Oh my God.
I was cleaning gutters out, and I just looked down, and everything that Bud was trying to do, Oliver was doing the opposite and pulling the leaves right back. And I think Bud really liked that. We lost a great man. We lost a great friend to so many. He was welcoming to everybody that was around. He got to know all of my friends on such a personal level and went to most of their weddings. I'm going to miss him.
I'm having a really hard time just trying to imagine what our lives look like without him in it anymore. I can't see it. I don't want to see it. It's really hard. That's what I'm struggling with the most personally, and for Sarah and my boys, and for all of you. But what I keep coming back to is we'll get there together. It's just important, for us to stay connected. And I shared with Jackie today. I want the answers. I just want the answer. And I know it's not that easy. And I think it's just going to take some time, and we can get through it together for sure. Everyone spoke here tonight about, how welcome he is, and he's just a joy to be around. And I was truly blessed to have a father-in-law like Bud, for sure. The cliche of, me telling my friends or my coworkers or anyone in my life, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to see my in-laws, or, oh, my in-laws are coming into town. You get that cliche old look like, oh. and my immediate response was, oh no, I don't have any of that. I don't even know what you're talking about. I love my father-in-law. I love my mother-in-law. I do not have those problems, I'll tell you that. They are family to me. I genuinely enjoy being around them. And it just, specifically to Bud, it just speaks to, the man he was. He was so in love with our kids and his grandchildren. And we're going to miss him. My boys are going to miss him. And we're going to hold on to those memories for sure. And I just want to say I love you all. He was definitely the bridge to welcoming me into this family. And I'm forever indebted to him for that.